This week's edition of Church Media Design TV is sponsored by Clark and Awake Images. Welcome to another edition of Church Media Design TV, tips, tricks, and how-to for you, the Church Media Designer. Well, I'm your host, Brad Zimmerman, and every single week I am joined by my favorite bobbleheaded friends. You got it right. We got Jamie and Adam from the Mythbusters. We got Dwight Schrute, the king of the office. We got Little Whitey, the miniature version of me, and of course, Jesus Christ, the Son of the Lord Most High. Well, on this week's edition, we're going to be talking about 3D inside Photoshop and how with CS5 you can now do all sorts of crazy 3D stuff. Talk about where to get the CS5 suites for a better price than normal, as well as we're going to give you a bunch of great resources for Christmas planning and music and helpful stuff to get through the holidays without pulling your hair out. And some Christmas inspiration, as well as we got a whole bunch of other great stuff going on. So if my favorite bobbleheaded friends are ready, let's get into it. Well, we got a little news today, and the first thing is from John Saddington from the 8-Bit Network. Recently launched a brand new WordPress theme for churches that are doing live streaming. This is an awesome theme. You can go to livetheme.tv and check it out. It's called the Live Theme. And as you can see here, it's a video-centric WordPress theme designed for live event broadcasting, community interaction, and all-around awesomeness. Yes, awesomeness. So we can demo this and check this out here, and it's pretty interesting. They have nice Twitter and Facebook integration. They have a live countdown. You can pull in a Flickr gallery, a nice big slideshow when we're not live, as well as other information, schedules, facts, all that kind of stuff. So, and this all runs on their standard theme infrastructure. So it's a quality infrastructure in WordPress. It's a theme that's been optimized to work in the best way possible. So I encourage you guys to check out livetheme.tv. The next one is a very interesting thing. It's called The Word. And The Word is out, and The Word is a magazine Bible produced by Hillsong London. The Bible is the NLT version, but then the whole thing is done in this magazine format. So we can check out here, and you can see that they've done an amazing job, with the layout of this magazine. And from what I can tell right now, is it's not just, here's a pretty page and then here's huge pages of text. It's actually, a great looking magazine throughout, and it's not just, a little bit of eye candy here and there like we sometimes get with Bibles, but this is a really cool thing and something that I think is really unique, that if you have somebody who's not wanting to read the Bible, or you got people in your church or you yourself struggle with wanting to read the Bible and it just doesn't seem fresh or alive, this can bring a whole new life to the Bible for you. So I encourage you to check this out. You have to order it from England, however, so shipping's kind of expensive, and you can get multi-packs if you're a church and that sort of thing, so you can find that all on their website. So check out the Word Magazine Bible and livetheme.tv. Well, it's that time of year again. It's time for Christmas, so let's reach into the stockpile and grab you guys some great resources for you and your church, specifically for the holiday season. So the first one is help in planning. We always need more help in planning. Many of you are done with Christmas and you're saying, Brad, why are you telling me about this? We did Christmas a long time ago. Others are saying, oh wait, it's December. Christmas is coming. I should probably get ready for that. This first resource is for you. It's called planningchristmas.info. And it's put on by the guys from Our Shirts Don't Suck. And they have interviews and interesting things from different people here. So as you can see here, they have some stuff from Dave Ferguson and Eric from Community Christian Church. They also got stuff from New Life, and from down here they got some stuff from Elevation, and just some different great ideas that are going on here of how to plan your Christmas, ideas of what people have done in the past, what has worked, what hasn't. So make sure to check out that website. The next one is a bunch of resources for Christmas. Let's say you're doing a video and you want a Christmas soundtrack, or you need to put together a quick bumper for your series for students or kids, and you want a template for that, well, Envato has got you covered. Envato is the home of places like ThemeForest.net and Video Hive, as well as they do tutorial sites like PSD and AEtuts.com. Well, they have It's Christmas at Envato, and are you getting ready for the holiday season? And they have music and jingles, email templates, raster graphics, flash files, vector files, and video and 3D. So they have all of these things that are all themed out, ready to go for Christmas. So we can go to, music and jingles and check out here. We can listen to Christmas Rock Parade. And actually, I don't have the speakers hooked up, so we can't do that. But you get what I'm saying. So there's tons of different stuff here that you can check out for your Christmas planning. And if we want to get more free stuff, I got a great one for you, especially if you're working in After Effects, because, we got Christmas parties popping up. We got all these different things going on. And so we don't want to waste time working more than we need to during the Christmas season, especially during the Christmas season, let alone the rest of the year. So Gray Machine's got you covered. And Gray Machine is the website of Harry Frank, and he does After Effects tutorials and a lot of different stuff. Well, he just put out this super awesome presets volume and 0001, and it has 17 different presets that he's used over the years to get stuff done, like adding bullet points to things, to auto fading, to a whole bunch of different stuff. All these presets cover all of the different the effects that you get in iMovie standard, the auto zoom, auto fade, and they're really easy to use. You just install them into your plugin folder. So check out that website, and you can find out how to install those presets if you don't know how to. And there's a 17-minute tutorial on how all of them work, so you can understand how to use them. So that's a bunch of different Christmas stuff. Make sure to check out Harry Frank's free stuff. Make sure to check out Envato's Christmas page with links to all of their holiday items for sale, as well as check out Planning Christmas to get your Christmas plan on. Check them out. Well, before we move on, let's say thank you to our sponsors, and the first sponsor is Clark. Now, Clark, we've talked about on the show before, and you may know them as the hologram guys, but they are way more than holograms. Clark specializes in strategy, facility planning for audio, video, and lighting for churches, and they've done this for years. And what sets them apart from the rest of the crowd is they have a long winning track record with local churches. From developing standards for multi-site to engineering multicast systems, Clark uses technology to turn your church's dreams into reality. So if you're thinking about doing any sort of construction or any sort of new system planning for your church, check out clark.is. Our next sponsor is Awake Images, and Awake Images have been around for 5 years, and they've been creating modern artistic worship backgrounds for the church. And they've been creating triple wide content that either spans across 3 4x3 screens or 3 16x9 screens, and these can be screens, or this can be environmental projection, and some of these are panoramic images to set the mood, and so you can make your church feel like it's a old cathedral, or it's multiple images to help set the tone and mood for your worship time. So head over to their website, and you can see here they have tons of great images. This is their featured volume right now, Fall Panoramics, for only $25, and you get tons of great different images. But let's check out some more. They have 2 different Christmas albums, and you can see some just great images to bring out the Christmas spirit in a very sacred way, but a modern way as well. And here's their other Christmas album that you can check out. So just tons of great stuff to use for Christmas. And remember that if you want to check it out, their very first volume is totally free, so you can grab that at their website. But also, if you order through our show, you can use the promo code of CMD.tv and get 40% off your order. So make sure to go check out some of these images, do some environmental projections, set a new mood this holiday season with Awake Images. Well, today we're going to be talking about Photoshop 3D and how to use the new 3D Repose tool inside Photoshop CS5. Now, if you don't have CS5, it's a great tool. I'm not telling you have to upgrade. I'm just saying that CS5 is an awesome suite of tools. And if you're looking to get a nonprofit edition, I encourage you to go check out cdw.com. It's my best place and favorite place, and the place that I would encourage you to go check it out. It's a great company. You can't order online, so you need to give them a call, but you can get an upgrade guarantee, so you get the next version of the program when it comes out, plus the newest version, CS5, so you get CS5 and CS6 all for one price. I think I paid around $400 to $600 for all of that, and I got the Adobe Production Premium. One other thing to note is we are on my desktop PC today. This is what I use during the week. This is a custom built machine for CS5. It's got a specific graphics card that's meant for Adobe Premiere Pro. It's got 12 gigs of RAM. It's got an i7-960 processor in it. It's got a solid state hard drive for the operating system and programs. So this thing is meant to run fast, and it's meant to handle these programs appropriately. However, you're going to notice that we have to sit and wait for things to render. So keep this in mind if you're thinking about putting CS5 on an older machine and using these tools. This is meant to use new technology, not necessarily old technology. Also, I'll be alluding to some different things along the way. This is not meant to replace tools like Cinema 4D or 3D Studio Max. This is a 3D tools for artists to use inside Photoshop when you want some quick 3D text, or you want to bring in a model from Google's library of free stuff. You can do all of those things, but this isn't turning Photoshop into a 3D application. Definitely not doing that. So here's a quick example of something I made. This is actually free on the website. You can go download this. This is for a segment we do with our middle school ministry on viral videos from the web, YouTube clips, and that sort of thing. But this was all made inside Photoshop 3D. All of the shadows, all of the lighting, all of that stuff was done inside Photoshop alone. So I just kind of wanted to give you a taste of what you can do. Again, I'm not trying to show you how to make the most amazing thing today. I'm going to show you the tool so that you can spend the time making something that's awesome. So let's get started. So I'm going to do File, New, and I'm going to make a 1280-720. So this is 720p HD document. I'm going to double click, and I'm going to just do a color overlay. And we're just going to set a background color here. I'm going to pick a, kind of a khaki-ish color and call that good. And then we're going to grab our text tool, and we're just going to write out Christmas. And I really don't like red, so we're going to change that to white. And then let's just move this over, and let's just spend a minute. We're not spend too much time, but we're going to just quickly spend a little bit of time with our spacing between our letters. So I'm just going to go in here, and I'm going to make this a little closer, make that touch that. The T and the A-M are a little too close, so I'm just going to space those guys out a little bit. The H and the R are a little too far away, so we can bring those in. Maybe a little bit more space there. And that's looking pretty nice. Now, the reason I spent those few seconds doing that is because you would be surprised how much nicer your titles and all of those things will look if you just spend a moment spacing your text out so it looks clean and nice. It's the difference between sloppy done administrative assistant text versus designer who knows what he's doing text. So keep that in mind. Now I'm going to make a copy of this. I'm just going to drag it down to the new button, and I'm going to turn off my original. You're going to see why in a second, because now we're going to actually make this in 3D. So I'm going to go up to 3D. I'm going to go down to Repose. There's actually 4 different options here. We have text layer, layer mask, selected path, and current selection. And the only option we have is text layer. Next week we're actually going to be messing around with selected path because we're going to bring in paths from Illustrator. But today, let's click on text layer. Now, it's going to say this text layer must be rasterized before proceeding. Its text will no longer be editable. Rasterize this text. That's why I made the duplicate, in case somebody says, let's call it Xmas this year instead of Christmas. Or you spelled that wrong, Brad, which happens to me often. Or, hey, the date of that event has changed, or you have the wrong date, or you have the wrong this, or the wrong that. So this way you can go back and you don't have to redo all your text again. So I'm going to just hit yes because I've already made a copy. Now you're going to wait a second, and it's going to load up, and it's going to do its deal, and now we have 3D text. I'll just move this down, and you can see we can rotate around this text, and everything looks all hunky-dory and correct. So now let's take a look at this dialog box. Again, I want to show you how to use the tool, not make something amazing, so you can make something amazing later. So in here you can see we have a bunch of presets. Now I could show you the presets, or I could show you what the presets are doing, so I'm going to do that. So inside here we have extrude, and if we roll this over, we can click and you can see it changes the depth of our extrusion. We also have scale, so I could type a 2 into here, not a 21, let's just do a 2. And you'll see that our scale is the end of our extrusion is now double the size. If I would change this to, let's say, 0.5, you would see that it's half the size. So that's what that's doing. I'm going to just set that back to 1 so that it's the exact same size. And I'm also going to hit this home button here, and what that does is it resets my text in the center of the screen so that it's easier to get around. Next we have our bend angle, and what you can see here is we have some bending going on. But what you'll also notice, I'll move this over so we can see a little bit more, what you'll also notice is that we have some weird chopping going on, and that's because it's bending around a specific point. So if I set this to the far left, it's going to bend around that point, but if I set it to the far right, it's actually going to bend around the S at the end of my object, which looks a lot nicer. And we could also bend in the other axes as well, so we could bend down, as you can see there. So now it's bending over and down, and you can get some interesting different looking things. You can also shear, so shearing, basically all that does is shear my letters. It's kind of like a 3D italics. It's shifting it back or forward at the end of my ideal. So let's just set that back to 0. And then again, I'm going to hit that home button just to kind of reset. Now let's look at our inflate, and we're going to inflate the front and we'll just go up to a little bit here, and you can see that our front starts to get more rounded looking. And so we get some inflated, roundy looking stuff, but you got to be careful because you can kick up the strength and you can start getting really ugly looking stuff really fast, and it just looks kind of dumb. So inflation, good for some things, better for others. You can do that to front, back, or front and back. You can't do inflation to the sides. And now let's go to our other options that we have here. We have some material options. We'll mess with that later, so I'm not going to show you that right now. But basically you have front, bevel, sides, bevel 2, which is the back bevel, and then back. So let's mess around with our bevel. So let's get a good angle here so we can see our bevel. So let's change our height to like a height of 10 and change our width down to, or up to something bigger. So let's maybe take our height down a little bit and we can get something good looking here. So you just got to mess with these settings and you can get it to look cool if you spend the time to make it look right. So you can do that to the front or to the back. We're not going to use that right now just because we don't need to. And then last but not least is our scene settings. We have lights, view, render settings, and mesh quality. Again, we want to leave all of these as low as possible on render quality stuff while we're working so we don't have to waste time waiting for things to render. So we're going to leave that all at draft. Again, I'm going to hit that home button so it resets the text at its home position. Use the camera to rotate around your scene, especially if you only have one object, not your, don't rotate your objects because that can just get more confusing. So I'm just going to hit OK, and now we're done. We have our 3D text, but it doesn't really look right. There's no shadows. We want to make this look pretty. So let's add a ground plane shadow catcher, which is it's a fake object in which shadows will be caught on so you can see that there's a floor. We're not adding a floor, we're adding something that looks like a floor. So let's do that. So in the drop down menu, we're going to go to 3D, and then in 3D, we're going to go to our drop down menu here, and we're going to do ground plane shadow catcher. So we're going to turn that on, and it's going to tell us that we have to have a ray trace renderer for this to be visible, because we've clicked that, we've seen nothing. So in our scene, with our scene selected, we can go to render settings and change our quality from interactive to ray trace draft. And once we do that, now you'll start to see shadows, and you'll see the ground plane catcher here, and it's starting to look okay. Now you'll see this grid popping over, and if we want to interrupt this at any point, we can just click and it will be interrupted, and we can go on with what we want to do next. So what I want to do is I want to make this look nice. Right now these are really hard shadows. There's not really a whole lot of gradation to any of these things. It's really hard lines. It's not what we normally would see. We see soft shadows on objects. So let's make that happen. So up at the top here we have a couple different options, and the last one is a light bulb. So we're going to click on that, and we have 3 different lights here: infinite light, 1, 2, and 3. Now I want to mess around with this, so I'm going to shut off all of my different lights here so you can see what it looks like without any lights on. So that's no lights in the scene. So let's turn that first light back on, and you can see it looks pretty nice, but again, really hard lines. So let's take our softness, kick that way up, and now you're going to see that we start to get, you're going to start to notice at least that we get a really nice looking scene here. We start to get some really soft shadows and soft lines. We can actually grab this little tool here. It's this rotate, and it's got a light bulb in the corner. We're going to click on that. We can actually rotate around, and we can start to mess with how this light looks. And so I just kind of rotated until I saw that front of the text as light as possible with the shadow behind, and that's what we naturally see. Normally when we shoot a video, we put the lights in front of us and we see a shadow in the back, and so that's how I want my text to look as well. So again, I'm just kind of messing around here with the position of this until I get something that I think looks nice. And so we start to see some nice shadow on the ground, we have some nice shadow in the text, and it's looking pretty good. But now we want to color this text so it looks even better. So we can use materials to do this, but we can also just change the native color of this pretty easily. And so what we're going to do is we're going to go to the next one to the left, which is our material editor, and you'll see we have 5 different materials. We have our inflation material, our bevel material for the front, and we have our extrusion, back bevel, and back inflation. Now, if we change our extrusion color here, let's go to like a dark red, you'll see it automatically change and update. And then once we hit OK, it'll go back through and start doing the rendering on the shadows. But we start to get something cool, and maybe we just want that, and maybe we want the front white. Well, because we started this whole scene from a text layer that had a color, when we click on front inflation, there's actually a texture attached to it that is white. And we want to remove that texture and just use the diffuse color. And we'll change that to our red color of whatever choice we want. We could go dark, or we could go a little lighter. Maybe we want to go, we could go green and make red and green. No, that would be ugly. So we're going to go back to red, and we'll make, you know, some dark red text here for Christmas. And we'll let this render out here. And again, this is a way to colorize your text. And if we had multiple objects in the same scene, we can have those kind of interact with each other. So let me quickly just go through all the other options here. We can mess with, you know, different material options here of reflection and glossiness and shine and specular and ambient. You know, if we change the specular color up a little bit, it's going to make our highlights a lot brighter. And if we change our ambient color brighter, it will make the whole scene brighter or darker. So, but that's just for that one texture, not all of them. So you got to keep that in mind. Next on our list, we have our object selection. So this is all of our meshes here, so we can tell this to cast shadows or not. And this is casting shadows on itself. We can also tell it, or catch shadows, and then we can also tell it to cast shadows or not. And if we turn that off, there will be no shadows. It'll just kind of be 3D looking, but not great looking. And then last but not least, it's our entire scene, and this is where we can change our quality, we can change a lot of different things, and we can change our render settings. So we could do a wireframe render setting, and that's what the wireframe looks like. We could do two-sided or we could go to our bounding box and it will only, for some reason, do that. We'll go to our default, and then we're going to change this because we're ready to do our final. We're going to change it from draft to final. And this will go through and do our final best quality render that we can. So again, if you guys want any more information, or if you have any questions about Photoshop 3D and more things you want to see talked about, please leave a comment on the website. Go to CMD.tv/118. You can leave a comment there or follow the notes below. I can't remember the episode number right now. But, you can leave a comment there, and that's the best way. In that way, other people can answer and all that sort of stuff. You can also email me, Brad, at ChurchMediaDesign.tv if you want to as well. So make sure to check out all the show notes and information and leave any questions you have on the website. And stay tuned next week for more Photoshop 3D. Well, this week's inspiration comes to you from Dan Stevers. Now, if you don't know who he is, you can check out his website and find out all of his great work there at danstevers.com. But last year, he actually put out a piece called Christmas in a Nutshell, and it was all about, what we make Christmas out to be. Well, this year, he's following that up with another video called Christmas Spirit the Right Way. And it talks about all of our Christmas spirit and what we put into it. I think it's a really great piece that you can use to kick off a gathering, or, there's a lot of different places you can use this. So check out this video and be inspired. Well, this week's freebie comes to you from not me, but a good friend, Barton Damer. Just released a great Christmas graphic that you can find free on his website. It's in full HD or 720p HD, and there's two different versions of it with a title and a blank background. And if you really like it and think you're going to put it to a lot of use, you can actually go to his site and you can buy and download the layered Photoshop files in high-res print-ready format. So if you're interested in those, you can check those out on his website. But make sure to go download these freebies. Awesome freebies, even if you just used them as a announcement slide for Christmas Eve. You could use these for a lot of different purposes around the holidays. So make sure to check these out and tell Barton thanks. Well, thanks for tuning in to another edition of Church Media Design TV. If you have any questions about Photoshop 3D or any of the other stuff we covered today, please leave a comment below on the website, cmd.tv/118. 118. You can leave all your comments there, as well as you can send me an email, brad@ChurchMediaDesign.tv, or you can find me on twitter.com/CMDTV. And also, if you guys have any comments or questions, you can do that. Also, I'm looking for more people to help with writing. I have a new Brian Alexander's helping do morning motion inspiration. So if you guys have videos you think we should use for that, or other content you want to see on the website, shoot me an email and let me know if you want to help contribute to CMD TV, because I want this to be a community effort. I want all of us together help raise up the church in the media that we use every single day. So thanks again for tuning in, and as for me and my favorite bobbleheaded friends, we're saying see you later.